The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official post-fight review for Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. Canelo Alvarez wins a easy, clear, and non-competitive 12-round unanimous decision as he stalks Callum Smith all around the San Antonio Alamo Dome and beats him with ease. It was one of his easiest fights, and this reminds me of a couple of weeks ago when I made a video about this fight and I said Callum Smith versus Canelo Alvarez is not a competitive fight at 168, and I got crucified for it. You know, I had like 100 dislikes to 48 likes or something like that. It was a crazy ratio, one of the craziest, most lopsided ratios of the year that going the other way, because people were really buying into the hype. People were really buying into this fight being won or being competitive because of what's on paper. And like I've said many times, and I'll say it again, I'll reiterate it again, boxing matches are not won on paper. Fights are not won on paper. Fights are won in the gym. Fights are won in the ring. And I knew going into this fight from everything I've seen from Callum Smith, I'd watched his fights against John Ryder. I've watched his fights against George Groves. I've watched his fights against Skrogelin. I've watched his fights against Nishiki Holshkin. I've watched his fights against Luke Blackledge, and a couple more that I can't think of right now. But I've watched a lot of Callum Smith, so I knew what he was bringing to the table. I know his fighting style inside and out. And I just knew that the weaknesses he had were going to be way too much for him to compete with Canelo Alvarez, because he's not a fighter that likes to feint. He doesn't know what a feint is. And if he does, he hasn't really shown it in his career too much. Didn't really use any feints with Canelo Alvarez, didn't step around Canelo Alvarez, seemed tentative to sit down on his shots when he exchanged with Canelo Alvarez. He was just a fighter that was in there hoping to win, but not knowing in his heart of hearts that he could win. And, I've said it all week. Look, Callum Smith is not the #1 super middleweight in the world. I don't care if he won a tournament. I don't care if he's undefeated. He never beat any of the other top super middleweights. He just won a tournament with a bunch of fighters and old George Groves, Now, I will give Callum some credit. This video is not just to slight Callum Smith. He showed me so much heart tonight, so much durability, and just full credit goes out to him, because I didn't think that he had it in him, and he really showed me wrong. So in that regard, I walk away this fight with a newfound respect for Callum Smith. I think Joe Gallagher let him down tonight. I think Joe Gallagher is a I never really rated him as a trainer, and now I really don't rate him as a trainer because of the fact that your fighter is getting his ass pounded from pillar to post from Monday to Sunday, and there was no towel being thrown. There was no looking out for the fighter. And I feel like as a trainer, like you gotta look out for the fighter. Of course the fighter is gonna want to go out on his shield. He's a fighter. They're programmed to go until they can't fight no more. But it's the trainer's interest to look for the best interest of the fighter, and letting a fight continue a round or two more when you're clearly losing, when he's clearly hurt, and when he's clearly having a hard time continuing, it's not something that I can get behind or celebrate. So Joe Gallagher, in my opinion, he let his fighter down tonight in that regard. But Canelo Alvarez, great performance from Canelo. A lot was made of the size difference this week. A lot of people were saying that Canelo Alvarez was gonna struggle with Callum Smith because of the size, and literally from the word go, from round 1 to round 12, Canelo Alvarez was out fighting Callum Smith. He was out jabbing Callum Smith, and he did whatever he wanted with Callum Smith. Now, where have we heard this before? Let's think back to about a year ago. We heard the John Ryder fight, in which Callum Smith lost and should not have even been champion and got this fight. So, we've known this for a year here on True School Sports, well over a year, that Callum Smith was easy pickings for Canelo Alvarez. One of the easiest fights of his career. Listen, I don't care how many more times Canelo fights in his career. At this level of boxing, this is one of the easiest fights Canelo Alvarez will ever have, apart from like Rocky Fielding. But Rocky Fielding wasn't getting the kind of credit and accolades and acclaim that Callum Smith was. People were calling this guy the unquestionable #1 super middleweight in the world, and while it looked good on paper, to say that it was unquestionable, no. And then I try to say things like, oh, well, Caleb Plant, I think he's better than Callum Smith, and people thought that's crazy. But I guarantee you one thing: If Callum Smith fought, or if Caleb Plant fought Canelo Alvarez, he'd win more than a round. He got, because Callum Smith got shut out tonight. So, you know, it was a whatever fight. Credit to Callum Smith for showing his heart and his durability. Hopefully, for his sake, he can get the hell out of 168 because he's been sucking down to get down there for a long, long time. And he can go compete at 175. And look, I know a lot of times when a fighter loses a fight, it's very easy to point the finger at the trainer and say get rid of the trainer. But I think in this instance, in this fight where you're getting your ass whooped and your trainer does not look out for your best interest, that should be called into question. And if I were Callum Smith, I think I would get rid of Joe Gallagher. I would come to the States and I would try to find a trainer that could use your attributes, you know. That's where I'm at. But last but not least, as far as Canelo, you know, I'm sick of seeing these fights against, you know, your Rocky Fieldings and Callum Smiths and Daniel Jacobs that I just know aren't going to be competitive going in. They're easy fights to pick. There's no suspense, you know, past the entrances, the ring walks. There's no suspense because once the fight starts, it loses all suspense because Canelo is so much better than them. And I really don't like how boxing and the boxing establishment and the media has treated Demetrius Andrade throughout the years when all he's ever done his entire career from the amateurs to right now is win. And in most cases, with the exception of 2 outings of his entire amateur and professional career, do it in dominant fashion. You know, he needs to fight Demetrius Andrade. You know, I think Demetrius Andrade would be the perfect fight for us to see how good Canelo Alvarez truly is. You know, you can say what you want about the resume, but I'm not talking about resumes don't win fights, because if resumes won fights tonight, Callum Smith would have been more than a sparring partner, because that's what he was tonight, a sparring partner for Canelo Alvarez. Resumes don't win fights. Styles win fights. Styles make fights, and styles win fights. And Demetrius Andrade, him being at 6'1", not just the size, because it's not just about the size, but it's a combination of size, ring intelligence, amateur pedigree, punching power, punching angles, athletic ability, confidence, belief, determination. You know, he's got the ingredients to give Canelo Alvarez the toughest fight of his career since Floyd Mayweather. But anytime I throw it out to anybody in the boxing establishment, they say, no, he's boring. They say, no, he sucks. They say this, they say that. But they don't give him the opportunity. So hopefully, for his sake, he can take a big step towards that and get the Billy Joe Saunders fight. And I think he's going to beat Billy Joe Saunders soundly when they fight. And after that happens, there should be no questions, no qualms, and no excuses as to why Canelo Alvarez can't give the fighting pride of Rhode Island his just due and his opportunity that he's been chasing Canelo Alvarez for years, and he can't get it no matter what. You know, and it's one of the most disrespectful things in the world what the boxing establishment is doing to Demetrius Andrade. So Canelo Alvarez, good performance tonight by beating undefeated Callum Smith, but you know, respectfully, actually no, fuck that, disrespectfully, hike up your skirt. Fight the best. Fight people that could actually give you a true challenge. Fight Demetrius Andrade, who's been calling you out for the better part of half a decade. And I think boxing fans and the boxing world will be in for a big surprise. You know, big surprise in terms of how competitive that fight will be. Obviously, Canelo will be the favorite, but it'd be a real fight that I think people will leave. They might not like the fight going in, but I think when the bell sounds in the 12th round, or if someone gets stopped, I think people will leave satisfied with that fight. So yeah, man, that's my little synopsis on Callum Smith versus Canelo Alvarez. You know, Callum Smith just did not have the tools to deal with Canelo Alvarez, and it showed greatly in this fight. So, you know, give me your thoughts down below. Where does Canelo go from here? Where do you rate him pound for pound? Does that further cement him as your #1 pound for pound in your mind? Let me know in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.